Welcome, or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot, or Heretic Owl. I don't know. I like the way that heretic sounds. Anyway, as you can see, we're continuing with our messages by Human Design Profile. If you are here, then you are Role Model Hermit 6-2 profile, or you're wondering, well, what the hell is this? All are welcome. If you don't know your profile, I provided a link in the description below for you to get your Human Design body graph. You'll need the same information that you use for your natal chart. So your birth date, time, and location. The time is a bit more finicky with Human Design because it can actually change aspects of your chart depending on the time of day. It may or may not. Like for me, it doesn't matter what time I was born. On the day that I was born, I was going to be a 5-1 profile manifesting generator. But for my dad, depending on the time of day, it did change a few things. So, you can also kind of play around with the time and see if there is a change to your profile at least. There might be certain gates that change throughout the day also, depending on where the transits were. But, maybe you have an intuition about the time of day that you were born, or maybe you've heard throughout your life that you were born during a certain time of day. If you don't know your exact time, you can just use a time that correlates to that time of day, like, morning, afternoon, evening, overnight. Or of course, you can use noon if all else fails. So you'll receive then a body graph that looks like this without the notes. You'll be given your type, your profile, your definition, inner authority, strategy, not self theme, and your incarnation cross. For the purposes of these readings, we're using your profile. Certainly not the most important aspect, but I think the beautiful thing about Human Design is that everything works in conjunction or in tandem with the other. So you hear a lot about your strategy and authority. Definitely take a look into that if you're not familiar with that yet. There's a ton of amazing information on YouTube or blogs if you just kind of do a Google search for it. But your strategy and authority, kind of helps you navigate the world and helps you enter into the correct experiences and understand, well, maybe not understand is the right word, but help you decide like which experiences are right and what are not necessarily right for you in that moment. And then your profile kind of helps you understand how to interact with, the relationships or the people in your life, or even the energies in your charts, or in your chart, excuse me. So I just decided to go with a profile because reading about my profile, I'm a 5-1, or heretic owl, no, heretic investigator. Clearly that's where I got the part of the name of my business from. But anyway, reading about my profile just, blew my mind. It felt like the first time I had ever been validated and seen in my effing life. So from there, I was like, I need to know absolutely everything. Anyway, without further ado, last time we read from the Definitive Book of Human Design, we read the background for your profile. And this time we're going to read the personal section. So these two paragraphs and then these two. And then of course, the next time we do these videos, we'll finish up with the interpersonal and then we'll move on. So it says, you can feel a bit out of sync with the world. You have a bird's eye view of life, so you can see the big picture and are wise beyond your years. Profiles without a sixth line do not have the ability to see life the way you see it. And this can make you feel disconnected from others or question and wonder why they don't see what is obvious to you. When combined, your 6th and 2nd lines give you the capacity to be a democratic administrator, a unique, capable, and wise authority. As with all 6 lines, you will go through 3 significant stages in life. It is important for you to embrace each aspect of this process as it matures and prepares you for your true calling, which is a role of trusted leader. The first 30 years are trial and error discovery, gathering valuable experiences and losing some of your innocence as you get exposed to the hard realities of life and what does not work. The second stage of your development is a time for you to retreat, heal your wounds, regain your optimism, enjoy life, and watch for the things that do work. Your unconscious 2nd line Hermit feels good in this stage as withdrawal is natural. After the age of 50, you receive a calling, re-engage with life, and become a true role model by become a true role model and living example of the wise, aware, objective judge and observer. You are always noticed and have great transpersonal power, even when you are withdrawn and reclusive. A life of harmony for you means no agendas or pressure to prove yourself. Your ability to stay above the fray, removed from the insignificant dramas in life, helps you maintain objectivity. You are most interested in things with depth and meaning. The trivial does not engage you. Others see you as an objective administrator and will call you out for advice. As a transpersonal person, you are someone others listen to, and your advice carries a lot of weight. If you say this thing works or not, or this person is good or bad, people will take your word for it. Your 6th line, when healthy, is fundamentally optimistic, hoping and dreaming for the best in life for everyone, including yourself. At the same time, your unconscious 2nd line sees the frailties and self-hatred that exist within humanity. Your natural genius and innate talents must be protected and allowed to unfold naturally in order to be called out and made available to the world. You are not a generalist, and there is a specific and special call that will allow you to bring out your gifts and embody your role model power. This calling is not something that you will find by seeking. It must be called out of you by others. There is a noble, self-sufficient, optimistic, and visionary quality that emerges from you if you are able to stay within your process, maintain your perspective, and safeguard your natural gifts during the first 2 stages of life. Your unconscious uncertainty, however, can cause you to hold back and not share your special gifts with the world. Your strategy and authority will guide you to the correct people and the correct call. Very interesting. I know I read part of that the last time, but you know, the 6th line with those 3 stages in life, from childhood to 30, you know, you're in that 3rd line, trial and error discoveries phase. Like it said, like, you know, it may be a little bit harder of a time. How did it put it? Losing a little bit of your innocence. Because it's also about like discovering the things that don't work. And that can be uncomfortable and challenging. And then from the age of 30 to about 50-ish, you're on the roof, as they call it. And that's when it was saying, you know, your 2nd line loves that, because you retreat, you regain your optimism. You're looking for the things that do work, right? And then after the age of 50, you come off of the roof. You're called, you know, it said in there that one of the famous people that is a 6'2" profile is Barack Obama. And not to get political or anything about that, but that is a good example of that, because he was elected president in his 50s and he was called out, right? And, you know, people voted for him as a role model, or because, you know, like he was showing up as being that role model. Just, I'm talking very basic, right? I mean, like I said, I'm not necessarily trying to get into a political conversation, but it was one of the people that was listed as a 6'2" profile. And I think that is a great comparison. I'm just shuffling a million times here. We're going to do a 6-card spread, just 2 rows of 3 cards. And also, you know, like how it was talking about, you know, being wise beyond your years. And being able to see that big picture, you know, like that really is going to help you and potentially other people. Okay. When they start kind of flipping out like that, I know it's time. There it is. Okay, just a couple more times to get that back in, shuffled in. No. Like, no. Sorry, I know I'm not trying to be annoying. There we go. These cards are a little new, so they're shedding a bit. Let's see. We have the Hermit. The 7 of Wands. The 7 of Swords. The 10 of Pentacles. High Priestess. And the 2 of Cups. And then the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Great. So we'll work our way through each one of the cards as we do. And we start with the Hermit. Fitting, right? You may be kind of in that age group that is up on the roof, you know, from 30 to 50. You don't have to be, of course. But the Hermit talks about introspection. It's about going within. And the purpose of that is to discover something within yourself, right? There's this element of healing that goes along with the Hermit. And it's also, you know, like kind of something that only you can do. Like, you know, it's about almost kind of helping yourself. Like providing your own light in the dark, right? And we have the 10 of Pentacles here. So, you know, this could even be about, you know, the 10 of Pentacles. Pentacles has to do with our money, how we make it, how we save it, how we invest it, how we spend it, right? It could have to do with our time. How do we spend our time? How do we invest our time? It can do with our physical bodies and our health. Also, you know, it's the 3D things. It's, you know, like the tangible things that we can touch. That's generally what the Pentacles cover. But the 10 of Pentacles talks about legacy and, you know, like abundance. It's having enough. There's generally a family included in here. So it's, you know, like the needs of your family or your community even. It could be your business, you know, but it's needs are being met. You have enough in abundance to where you're able to share with the group. But, with this being paired with a hermit, I mean, you could be, just really kind of doing some soul searching into what is the thing that I want to make my legacy. What is the bigger picture? Right? And if you are on the roof, like if you are in that age group between 30 and 50, this could be where, like, again, feeling good, right? And that kind of retreat energy that the hermit enjoys, but also, again, like, really kind of trying to get clear on what it is that you want to put your time, energy, and money towards. The hermit also talks about, it could be something different than what you actually think that it could have been, right? Like, I mean, the hermit talks about, in this deck anyway, that by going within, by doing this, introspective journey, you could discover something new about yourself, which could change the trajectory of where you're headed, which is great. I mean, nothing is set in stone, right? This could even be like waiting for that call because, as the book says, like it's something that you need to be called out by others. It's not necessarily something that you'll seek yourself. So this could be, again, just almost kind of looking for that call, waiting for it. The second line, that hermit line, is all about, there's this natural kind of aptitude that comes with the second line. So really all that you need to do is just kind of focus on those things that interest you. What does light you up, right? And then of course it was talking about your strategy and authority. And again, I'm pretty sure that I mentioned it, but again, there's a ton of information, great information out there about each type along with the strategy and authority. And then we have the Seven of Wands here. And the Seven of Wands talks about being a bit defensive, really kind of standing your ground. Wands talk about action, communication. There's a creativity and, like desire and passion that comes along with the wands. It's the suit of fire. Pentacles are, or pentacles represent earth. And with this, right, like it's really, this card is really about climbing to the top, like really dedicating and being committed to this ascension. But also, I mean, this even kind of indicates being on the roof, right? Like having that bird's eye view from up here about what's going on down here. And then we have the High Priestess. And I see the High Priestess as being in tune with our star player, our higher self. It talks about intuition. And, she's holding a pomegranate at her solar plexus, which again, talks about like birthing creativity and passion, self-esteem even. Pomegranates represent fertility. And not necessarily, like reproductive fertility, but fertility in the sense of abundance and, like birthing opportunities and, like opportunities coming to you or finding them or whatever. But also, I mean, this could be even representing the strategy and authority, depending on what that is for you. and your type. Because this to me, like this combo to me is just kind of saying like, you know, really kind of honing in on those skills. What are you interested in? And, you know, almost kind of like building on those skills so that, you know, you can use your strategy and authority to help you enter into the correct relationships or the correct experiences for you. And then we have the Seven of Swords here, which represents air. And, you know, the Seven of Swords can represent trickery, being a bit sneaky, you know, kind of secrets. We have this raccoon that's taken off with these seven swords here. It's interesting that we have two sevens next to each other also. And there's a raccoon here. I don't know if you can see that. Sleeping little raccoon here. This to me, you know, it just kind of has this element of almost kind of like fooling yourself. It says a solitary raccoon makes off with seven swords. This card describes an individual who chooses to keep secrets and go it alone. When we distance ourselves from others, is it because we need to feel independent or is it because relationships can be challenging? Well, this card can allude to someone who is being deceitful or distant in your life. It also demands us to look inward and examine our own motivations. Find the boundary between independence and isolation and the difference between secrecy and deceit. Well, that's pretty fitting. Because again, right, we start with the Hermit card. So what is the motivation behind this Hermit card? Right? I mean, like, are you hiding out? Are you being a bit, you know, kind of defensive or maybe not wanting to engage? It could be being in the not self theme also, where, you know, again, like where the strategy and authority comes into play is if you aren't quote unquote following your strategy and authority, there is a not self theme that goes along with each. So for instance, my strategy is to respond. My inner authority is this emotional solar plexus. So, you know, going through the wave of emotion before, you know, kind of acting upon the thing. And the not self theme is frustration. So if I try to initiate without having something to respond to, then I would be met with frustration. I would find myself to be frustrated. And I have many times. So, right? I mean, like that could be what this is also. But it's interesting because we have the Two of Cups underneath it. So yeah, you know, I mean, like, is this being too much in that Hermit energy where, you know, because again, like with the Two of Cups, you need other people to call you out. And I say you need, right? I'm just talking about human design and what it says about your profile. I'm not telling you what to do by any means. But for the Two of Cups, it says two birds hold each other in their nest. Let me hold this up. The Two of Cups is a card which brings to light the start of a new partnership, most often in romantic relationships. The card invites you to value and to love the nurturing aspects of your partner and encourages you to practice those virtues within yourself. Practice respectful love and don't forget Practice respectful love and don't forget that showing that love for yourself is key. So, right, like again, like are you kind of maybe hiding out a bit too much from people to where it's almost kind of like blocking a blessing? Because maybe you are coming off of the roof. Maybe you're at it doesn't even matter, right? Like I mean you could be in the first 30 years stage. But it's like, you know, kind of not wanting to accept help. Like literally these two cards put together, right? But it could also be, you know, like it was saying, like you have to give that love to yourself first before you're able to give it to somebody else. Because the way that I see the Two of Cups is, you know, we start with the Ace of Cups, right? Like our cup is overflowing. We have enough to meet our emotional needs, so much so to where we feel like we have enough to share that with another person. So then we move on to the Two of Cups. And you know, we meet that person, whether it's a romantic relationship, platonic, business, whatever it is, right? But they come in with their Ace of Cups also. So both of us are coming in with our full cups. And it's reciprocal, right? Like we're each giving the same amount to the relationship. It's not 90-10, it's not 80-20. I don't feel depleted because at the same time that I'm filling somebody else's cup, they're filling mine. Or we both show up with our cups full that we don't necessarily need to take from the other, right? Unless absolutely necessary. And I'm sure, you know, like those times show up. But we come already full. Because, right, I mean, we poured into our own cups first and foremost, and we continue to do that so that we can fully show up for other people. So this could be, you know, needing to do that for yourself, needing to take some time for self-care, getting into that Hermit. And I love that we start with the Hermit and we end with the Two of Cups here, because it really does just kind of feel like, you know, this, you know, kind of hermit mode that you're in, right? Like really kind of honoring that second line. You know, it is really about filling your own cup so that you can be available to show up when you get the calling, right? And then we have the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And the Ace of Swords talks about new perspective, new perception. It's a new idea, even. It could even be like a different way of thinking about this whole situation that you're in. Gaining a new perspective. Maybe even like starting to kind of trust people again. Feeling that optimism that it was saying in the book. Because this up here is hiding out from challenges and deceit or trickery or whatever, right? But this row down here is like, you know, abundance and intuition and, you know, like love and sharing that with other people. And it's almost kind of like you get to decide which energy you want to be in, the top or the bottom row. And then we have the effing Magician underneath that, which talks about having the skills, having everything that you need in order to kind of go for something. And maybe it is just a matter of changing your mind about the thing. Like, you know, there's that saying that says, change your mind, change your life. Man, there's a Sugarland song. Settling. How does she put it? That might be what she said, actually. Change your mind. I want to be the girl who changed her mind and changed her life. That might have been how she put it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.